There's a legitimate debate on both sides about honoring the past, particularly a troubled past like that of the Civil War. And I do think that the two sides are simply wrong. The one side, the Pelosi saying we have to uproot all these, symbol of the worst in America, and then the president on the other side saying we have to keep all this. I think every monument has a different history, content, and context. And if we were rational, this isn't exactly a rational moment, we would evaluate them in that context. And it seems to me that's the only way to do it. Some of the statues were sincerely held tributes, some of them by the Union, to their fallen comrades in the Confederacy as a symbol of reconciliation and sort of the better angels. I will commend your viewers to go to Arlington National Cemetery. Remember, the cemetery of the victorious Union. Go to section 16. It is devoted to a monument to the Confederate soldiers buried there, arrayed around this monument, with a very touching inscription speaking about these men, these Confederates, in simple obedience to duty as they understood it. These men suffered all, sacrificed all, dared all, and died. I mean, that is such a touching, magnanimous recognition of the enemy. You wouldn't want to touch that. That is almost sacred, what that is. Now, on the other hand, 100 years later, many southern states put up statues to the Confederacy as symbols of not the Civil War, but of their resistance to civil rights and to Supreme Court rulings and desegregation. That's a very different category, and that's where I think it's far more problematic. But that's why I think it's simply a mistake to say categorically yes, we keep them all, categorically no, we take them all away.
I think that's a fair point. I'm bothered by, though, the drive to erase the past, to tear things down. By the way, without any kind of popular referendum on it. So the population gets to weigh in on this. It is a democracy, after all. But the idea that the past is offensive categorically and we have to just burn it.
Look, I agree with you entirely on that. Although I do think the problem is less statuary than it is pedagogical. Our problem is we're instilling in our children an understanding of our past, which is a patho-history. All of our sins, the Indians, African Americans, slavery, women, it's a history of oppression, which is such a one-sided and sort of destructive understanding of history that you get a generation who come out of it and think, what's left, what's worth defending? That's where I really worry. Less about the monuments, which are sort of a reflection of that. But that's where I think we have to start to rebuild a kind of civic culture and an appreciation of the glory of American history with all of its flaws and its uniqueness. That's what previous generations were raised on. That's what the greatest generation was raised on. And now we're raised with a generation that is confused.